All You Need to Know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business.
Good morning and thanks for listening in. This is the All You Need to Know podcast on Bloomberg Quint and I'm Alex Matthew. Today is the 28th of October. Here's everything that you need to know. First up, if you're looking at the markets keenly, you should definitely log on to the website bloombergquint.com over the course of today. As many as 5 nifty companies will be announcing their financial results for the quarter ended September. Now, before you do that, you'll want to watch for the COVID-19 data that comes out just after 8 a.m. Yesterday's number was a huge positive at a time when several countries globally are facing a second wave of the virus. According to the Health Ministry's latest update, India added just under 36,500 fresh COVID-19 cases in the 24 hours to 8 a.m. yesterday. That's a big drop from the near 1 lakh daily additions that we were seeing not too long back. Let's continue to stay vigilant and hope that this trend continues. There's no doubt that the pandemic has had a major impact on the finances not just of the central government but also that of the state. It has pushed up their gross fiscal deficit and caused a rise in debt and guarantees. In fact, according to the Reserve Bank of India's report on state finances, gross fiscal deficit of state governments is projected to widen beyond 4% of GDP in the current financial year in the RBI's baseline scenario. That compares with a budgeted estimate of 2.8%. The states will be constrained by their borrowing limits that finance about 90% of the deficit on an average, according to the report which was published on Tuesday. Speaking of the economy, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said yesterday that there are visible signs of revival in the economy, but the GDP in the current financial year may degrow or remain unchanged compared with the last fiscal. A degrowth in GDP is in line with what the RBI has projected. Remember, the RBI governor had earlier this month said that India's GDP is expected to contract by 9.5% this financial year. Sitharaman said the economy saw a contraction in the April to June quarter, but demand has picked up in the festival season. She also said that recent data indicates revival in the economy, with the PMI number being the highest since 2012. Meanwhile, the government has extended for the third time the deadline for making payments under the Direct Tax Dispute Settlement Scheme Vivad Se Vishwas, this time by 3 months to the 31st of March. Now here's the thing. Declarations under the scheme must be made latest by December 31st this year, but payments can now be made up until end of March. In corporate news, Hero MotoCorp has signed agreements with Harley-Davidson to develop and sell a range of premium motorcycles under the Harley brand name here in India. Hero will also take over the existing sales and services operations of the American company in India. The development comes a month after the US-based company exited India to boost restructuring expenses at home and to cut costs globally. In international markets, US stocks ended mixed. Tech stocks rallied, pushing the Nasdaq higher by 0.6%. The S&P 500 and Dow, on the other hand, fell 0.3% and 0.8% respectively. And it's a muted start to trade here in the Asia-Pacific region too. One of the 3 early risers was trading flat and the other 2 were trading lower last I checked. And with that, it's over to Hormuz Fatakia for the trade setup for the day in India. Good morning, Hormuz. It's going to be a busy day on the earnings front. How are we looking at the start?
Very good morning to you, Alex, and to all of those tuning in. On a day when Asian markets were in the red, European markets ended in the red, and so did the US markets, India's markets stood tall. And not only did they stand tall, they also managed to recover most of Monday's losses, courtesy the MSCI Rejig news. And since we have a long list of earnings today, I'll first take you through the stocks that will be in focus other than earnings. The compliance officer has approved the plan of the promoter of Asian Paints in order to adhere to RBI's guidelines. The promoter, Satwa Holdings and Tradings, will sell close to 6% stake in the company between the 1st of May 2021 and the 30th of April 2022 for a sum of 500 crore rupees. The sale will be made in tranches and the proceeds of that will be used to reduce debt and the quantum of pledged shares. ICICI Bank says that the United States Securities and Exchanges Commission has concluded its investigation into the bank's loan impairment provisions under the US GAAP and that it does not intend to take any enforcement action against the lender. The probe had begun a couple of months earlier in August. Bharti Airtel has decided to exit the Ghana market. The government of Ghana will acquire 100% stake in Airtel Ghana. The company will take an impairment hit of 184 crore rupees due to the same. And Bharti Airtel is the first earnings reaction that I want to mention. The telecom player reported its 6th straight quarterly loss, even as the average revenue per user, or ARPU, rose to its highest in 3 years. The revenue for the company's India business rose 7.5% sequentially and over 20% compared to last year. Some optimistic commentary coming in from the management of Tata Motors, even as the passenger vehicle maker reported its 8th quarterly loss in the last 10 quarters. The company's CFO PB Balaji said that the company expects the second half of FY21 to be stronger and that demand for JLR is seeing improvement in all the countries that they operate. He also said that they are in talks with various OEMs to partner in the domestic PV business. Some broader market names that will react to numbers: Castrol, where the management said that the growth was seen across business lines owing to partial revival of pent-up demand, a robust supply chain and sound working capital management. The company has also declared a dividend of 2.5 rupees a share. Nippon Life India AMC, where lower operating expenses and employee costs contributed to the growth in net profit, and ICICI Prudential, where gross premiums were up 6% while VNB margins improved for the first half of FY21 on account of increase in protection mix and growth in non-linked savings. Not one, not two, but we have 5 nifty earnings today in the form of Axis Bank, Dr. Reddy's, Hero MotoCorp, Titan and L&T. Remember, L&T will also be discussing a proposal for a special dividend at its board meeting today. The non-index names reporting earnings today, and it's a long list, so the names include APL Apollo Tubes, Blue Star, AU Small Finance Bank, Cummins India, ICICI Securities, Marico, MCX, PI Industries, amongst a whole host of other names which you can find in our All You Need to Know copy. Some buzzing stocks that I would want to highlight from Tuesday's session: Kotak Mahindra Bank had everything going for it. Steady earnings, good brokerage commentary, prospects of MSCI inflows, and it was this trinity that led to the stock ending with gains of 11%, the most in over 7 months. Sanghi Industries was the other buzzing stock, ending with gains of over 15%. The stock has gained in 3 out of the last 4 trading sessions and is up over 30% during the period. And lastly, a mention on GE Power India, which saw a sharp crack during the course of trade on Tuesday, ended 19% lower, its biggest drop on record. It ended at its lowest level in 7 years. Early ticks on the SGX Nifty showed that the index traded 40 points lower, around the mark of 11,840. As I mentioned earlier, do log into BloombergQuint.com for our All You Need to Know copy and a host of other stories. With that, I wish you a safe day ahead, and it's back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Hormuz, and as always, thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a lovely day.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you can listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.